Okay, we're here with Mike Garrigan from CeramicSpeed. I thought it'd be really interesting to talk to you about CeramicSpeed because it's been with Factor since the founding of Factor, an integral part of how we design bikes and what we supply them with. But before we get into CeramicSpeed, can you give us a bit of background on yourself? Because you come from a racing background, and I think we're going to come back to that because you've had some insights that we'll talk about later.
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said, my name's Mike Garrigan. I actually come from a coaching background. So, I was working with the Canadian national team for many years, and I did some racing myself. I was Canadian cyclocross champion a couple of times, and based myself in Belgium, racing in the sort of heartland, motherland of cyclocross. And yeah, so my heart's in off-road, but I love all bikes.
So tell us a bit about your journey with CeramicSpeed and a bit more, because I think people, when they buy a Factor, they see that it's equipped with CeramicSpeed, but probably just think, oh, it's got nice bearings. But I know for a fact there's a lot more to it than that, because it was always something I was very kind of deep in when I was a racer. And I think people take it for granted now. So can you tell us a bit about the origins and history of CeramicSpeed?
Yeah, sure. I mean, CeramicSpeed just celebrated their 20th anniversary last year. We were founded by Jacob, who's like, he's like the tailwind at the company. He's there every day. He sleeps like 30 meters from production. So he's just an integral part of the company. We're based in Denmark. Everything's hand-built in Denmark. We're producing high-end products for Factor and a couple other brands that are interested in performance. We're also doing production for space applications, food production, heavy industry, so motorsports. Yeah, the company's grown a lot over the last 20 years.
And something I kind of notice, and I notice this quite often with the partners we have at Factor, is how there is this love of innovation and craftsmanship, and the fact that you guys, can you tell us a little bit about your facility in Denmark and kind of how it's grown over the years?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you come to headquarters now, it's this amazing, hyper modern building. Everything's extremely clean. It's always been that way. Everything's hand built. I guess it goes all the way back to where we started. So it started in JC's garage, basically. He was building everything by hand for himself, for his own bearings, for his own use. And then he was building bearings for professional road teams. And then the production facility grew and grew. And now we're building bearings, building SLT bearings, building all sorts of different products for all different use cases, like I said before. But yeah, you would see that there's sort of this high-tech side of the company where everything has been tested and vetted through our quality control using machinery, but then the final check is all through humans and human touch.
Can you tell us a bit about the relationship with Factor? Because I remember when Rob started it in 2015, and it was immediately the bikes were just equipped standard with CeramicSpeed, which was pretty much unheard of, I think, at the time. To kind of every bike made by Factor came with CeramicSpeed. Do you know much about how that came about, or kind of how that for you guys set us apart somewhat?
Yeah, I mean, Factor, like you said, we've been with Factor since the start. I think we're sort of like kindred spirits with CeramicSpeed and Factor, just because we're both uncompromising. We both appreciate, high-end products. We both have customers that are sort of unwilling to accept a product that's, I won't say inferior, but just something that's a lower-end product. Factor's been just an amazing partner for us. We've developed products with them with the race teams. We've developed products with them behind the scenes. Yeah, so I don't know all the ins and outs of like what the first conversations looked like between probably Rob and someone at CeramicSpeed, probably Martin, who's our managing director. But I know that we still have photos of like the original Factor bikes with our products, fully equipped on them. Yeah.
That's nuts. Yeah. And so can you explain a bit what comes, the CeramicSpeed elements of a Factor? Because I think it'd be really interesting to talk through those different touch points.
Sure. Yeah. So the Factor bikes are really well equipped with CeramicSpeed. First, you've got the headset, which is the SLT bearing.
Is it this bit here?
Yeah, this one here. So our SLT bearings are actually, first we produce them for industry use. They're special because they don't have any grease in them. So we had to make them for, I'll back up a little bit. The SLT bearing had to be able to endure just incredible abuse for its industry applications for food production, because they couldn't get any grease into the contaminating the product, and it also had to be able to withstand heavy duty washing daily. So that kind of made it a perfect product to use on the bike, especially for the headset. So the first thing you're going to get is the SLT bearing on the front of the bike, and then it goes through, and then you've got the bottom bracket bearings, which is our hybrid bearings. It's a perfect application for something that's going to be spinning under a lot of load. It's going to be taking a lot of abuse, and it needs to be able to run really efficiently. And then in the wheel bearings you're going to have our hybrid bearings as well. I always
remember when I first got the black ink wheels back in the day. I was like, that was the first time I'd seen standard kind of CeramicSpeed on kind of off-the-shelf wheels. And that goes back to when I was racing, and I'm so bummed now that I didn't know CeramicSpeed was around, because in the mid-late 2000s, I'd be having to dig through the internet to find ceramic bearings for my TT bikes, and would be spending like $1,000 and these bearings being shipped from Florida or something. Yeah. But now it's kind of, there's a lot, professional cyclists can do very little with their bikes. They come with the sponsors. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that a lot of pro cyclists buy their own bearings now, which is kind of mad. And it goes to show how the sport's changed because of the marginal gains, etc. Because I was the only one in the team doing it back then. And I didn't know many in the pro peloton, which were going to my level of OCD. Mm-hmm. But have you noticed a lot of kind of pros sort of under the...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you, I can't name names, but our list of, we have this list that's called like a APP, athlete performance program. So it's professional athletes or maybe their mechanics contacting us looking for product. And it is an extremely impressive who's who list of racers
like
in the pro peloton.
Dream that you can't
use. Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, you've got just Olympic champions, world champions. The list goes on and on and on. And also teams. We have great relationships with a lot of teams that we don't have official partnerships with, but they would contact us because they want some help with upgrading this and that. So, I don't want it to sound like hyperbole, but I'm pretty confident that we're like the number one product that professional cyclists are purchasing.
Can you recount, because I didn't realize this, the anecdote of, and this is more just a kind of explanation of kind of how the mechanics of this work. There was an explanation I'd never heard before for Mark Cavendish shipping his chain. Can you explain that? Because it's really interesting.
Well, it's probably not just Mark, but there's an interesting kind of byproduct of once you start to upgrade your bike and you start to find efficiencies in the drivetrain. So if you were to take say we both had stock bikes, and I removed all of the friction from my pulley wheels. I removed all of the friction from most of the friction from my drivetrain through the chain and the free hub body, etc. If you're riding along at 70 kilometers an hour, pedaling 110 RPM, and then you stop pedaling all of a sudden, the chain won't have enough resistance through the lower part of the drivetrain to slow down, and the chain will likely go slack. So it's something that I usually warn riders when they upgrade the bikes, that they might encounter this issue where the chain starts going slack on the top of the drivetrain. Yeah, because maybe you've saved a few watts out of the whole system, or of your whole package if you take into aerodynamics and tire efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. But if you just look at the drivetrain, we've removed a massive percent of of the resistance out of the drivetrain. It's like 70%. I can't say, one drivetrain versus another, but if you look at our white papers, it's a ton of 70%. Resistance out of just the drivetrain. Yeah.
Wow. So with all this learning you've taken from the road, this is something you're now seeing in gravel, how the world of gravel is changing. It's gone from the hipster alternative steel bikes and kind of all-purpose to what we saw at Factor kind of, I think, early on, whereas again, that's coming from our kind of never status quo, and Rob's love of speed was developing the Ostro gravel, which is a full aero gravel bike, which I think at the time everybody was like, why? And we're now seeing that the marginal gains are shifting across to gravel completely. And this is something you guys are seeing as well and are really doubling down on with CeramicSpeed. Can you tell us a few of the things you're doing?
Yeah. It's interesting. I didn't believe that gravel would be.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I really didn't. Yeah, a few years ago, I was like, yeah, mountain bike. This is like where you build your beautiful bike, and my road bike's my beautiful bike, and my gravel bike, it's my cottage bike, or I'm gonna beat up on it.
It's my fun bike.
Yeah, my fun bike, and it's a bike that I don't have to care about. And I think folks are really excited to build beautiful and fast gravel bikes, and now we're seeing that in the market. And I've been doing a lot of events in the last year. I work primarily on events with CeramicSpeed, and I'm just floored at how nice some of the gravel bikes are now, some of these race gravel bikes. And I think folks, some of them want that like performance package, and they want the bike to be as fast as possible. And then other people maybe just want to build a beautiful bike that they love looking at, and it gets them excited. And I think that we're able to cater to both of those customers. So are you. But speaking of the performance, I think people want to see how fast they can go, and they want to make sure their bike's not holding them back. Yeah.
This is the thing that kind of blew my mind.
Sure.
Can you explain this?
Yeah, sure. So this particular cage is from our transmission group set, or it supports the transmission group set for mountain bike. But what's exciting about this one is that it's got this ADR, so active debris removal system. It's pushing dirt away from the bearing in the around the pulley wheels. And we were really excited when this came out a year ago. We're still excited about it, but it's tech that I think everyone needs on their bike. It's so cool. We
Can
wanted
you explain the purpose of it?
Yeah, sure. We wanted to keep debris or dirt out of the bearing without increasing resistance. Mm-hmm. So obviously, mountain bike was the place to start with that. This product was actually developed in collaboration with our partners at the time at the Cape Epic stage race. And it just performed flawlessly, both in the lab and then in the field. And now we're able to use this tech on our road system. So the new RS cage with the Alpha disc has this same ADR, or active debris removal. It's
that's mad. So now mountain bike gravel is going back to road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So your road bike, because like the road bikes are so capable now. Mm-hmm. You can do a full-on gravel race rig, or a road bike that's kind of like capable for light gravel, and you're still going to want to do long rides without having to do a ton of maintenance. So this is a good product. Yeah. And
then lastly, because I think this kind of sums up the CeramicSpeed ethos, which is again going into full geekdom. Sure. But can you just kind of explain?
This is one of our tools. I was just speaking with a couple of your colleagues earlier about our tools, and they were asking me about wanting to get their hands on one of our new tools and stuff. So our tools are it's definitely if you ask our accounting team, they will probably not be excited about our tools, because they don't make a lot of sense for us financially. We really, it's a passion. And when you look at our tools, this is our T47 BB tool. But if you look at our tools, you can see kind of like a small glimpse into, once you touch them and see like all the little details with magnetized drifts and O-rings on our bearing drifts, on our wheel bearing toolkit, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of like a nice little window into the way the R&D team thinks and how passionate they are about the product and how passionate we are about bikes. Because earlier I mentioned that we do industry and motorsports and space applications, but we're really a cycling company, and everyone is just bike crazy. So making stuff like this is definitely things that get designed after hours.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Mike.
Yeah, cheers.
It's given me a lot of insight into CeramicSpeed, and I won't look at them quite so simply again ever again.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Thank you.